lack of daylight, no space.
My name's Heidi. I'm the programme leader for Changing Places in Bristol, and we're on a mission with Access Sport to make inclusion the norm. So my work in Bristol is really around supporting clubs to get upskilled, working with coaches and volunteers to access training to help their clubs become more inclusive. Also offering support which might help clubs to access equipment to become inclusive. In Bristol, we're also spearheading the Ignite network, which is a network of stakeholders and individuals who are all working towards making inclusion in sport the norm. Since summer 2024, I've been part of Bristol Active City Network. I've been part of the workshops and the broader meetings. Joining the network has enabled me to connect with other organisations working in sport, health, physical activity, and build connections with individuals and organisations that we can look to work closer with, and also look at organisations and individuals who we could work better with. It's been an important network in terms of looking at ways to collaborate with different organisations in the city. Connecting with new organisations and building relationships with different organisations and individuals is important for the work that we do in order to reach new people and to broaden our work and inclusion within sport and physical activity. So I think in the past there probably has been examples of where there's been more kind of siloed working, and organisations may not have looked to each other to collaborate and kind of build capacity. Last month there was a workshop which I joined, and discussing the barriers and enablers of physical activity and sport. And within the group that I was working, we discussed the broader environmental factors that may impact somebody's experience in terms of being more physically active. So we actually discussed how it could be more challenging to use a park or a public space, and how that impacts our enjoyment. It was really useful. After the workshop, I arranged to meet up and talk to a couple of individuals that were there that we hadn't really worked with before, and that's resulted in us having extra conversations about how to support some of our clubs and groups.
Everyone Active are an organisation who deliver physical activity on behalf of councils across the country. So within Bristol, we run and manage the 5 council-owned sites in Bristol South, in Bedminster, St Paul's, Easton, Horfield and Henbury. But we also run activities within communities, so I believe there are 8 sites that we're delivering to at the moment. We have about 250-ish sites around the country. So my role is focused on addressing health inequalities and delivering social value back into the communities. So everything from active travel through to looking at hiring from certain postcode areas and demographic groups. I've learnt so much, and not just from being in the room with a number of other people, sort of shared learnings that you get from the network and being in amongst the community, but actually I even bumped into Nadia Holland at another event, and we were discussing the narrative session and the importance of storytelling. I think that that's something that I had never really thought of and looked into. Back about 20-25 years ago, my cousin was murdered in a racist attack, and it has affected the way that, in a lot of ways, the way that I've I interact within systems and the failings of the systems that were there to support. And I think that being able to be in a place where I felt safe enough to be vulnerable in that sense, and actually share some of the experiences of what it's like, especially within the group, being someone who was in a minority, when sort of, if we talk about sort of ethnicity and race, being in a minority group, it can be challenging talking up and speaking about certain experiences that people might not be able to relate to, but I felt comfortable and safe enough to share about some of the experiences that have had and continue to have throughout life. Until they're explicitly aware of something, people are quite often ignorant of the fact that things happen and things exist. When someone does share a bit of themselves and sort of is vulnerable and actually putting their story out to you, it does put you at ease and actually able to share a bit more of yourself. So I think that when hearing more about your story, and in particular actually around it was when you sort of spoke of the No Dogs, No Irish, I think that was the bit that actually made me think, okay, there is something here shared.
That was the first time, wasn't it?
It was in the first meeting, and that sort of thought, okay, yeah, I remember hearing and seeing the No Blacks, No Dogs, No Irish. I'm black and Irish, so it's it's not an experience that everyone has, and I felt comfortable sharing that, and so having the opportunity to talk about my own personal experiences has really helped to, I think it's helped me to sort of put across the importance of designing with people and with communities, rather some of these things with colleagues, with certain select colleagues in controlled environments when I felt comfortable to do so, but generally when I'm delivering a session as opposed to being part of a group, and in particular I felt it was really interesting because being in a room with a number of people that I don't know, who could, if thinking about it, it could actually detrimentally impact my career, but I felt it's important to talk about some of these things, and I think that it's, once you are sort of in that state of vulnerability and being able to actually talk about it, people often see vulnerability as a weakness, but there is so much power in it, in actually sort of helping to share that experience and convey that message. It really helped me to really bring my whole self to those meetings, and not feel like I could have just sat back and sort of not sort of talked about it and then sort of left it to sort of be this overlooked area. But I think it led to conversation. Probably the biggest thing that has come out of this for me is the fact that people are realising that to get to the goal and to get to where we need to get to, we need to all work together. We have the same end goal. Coming together to actually serve that end goal is what we need to do, as opposed to competing over the same sort of small bits of the market or whatever it might be. It's a case of actually having that shared purpose and being able to sort of follow that through to our own goal, and all playing our part in being part of this bigger system and within the city.